What's going on, everybody? This is Jeff with Living in Arizona, and I'm going to answer a question about rattlesnakes. And I'm doing this video because in the last 24 hours, I've had several people talking about rattlers or rattlesnakes. And yeah, people want to know. And this one's coming in from Simplistically Normal. This is helping me so much. I'm trying to choose for my family's new place to live, currently in Indianapolis. I have a few choices: Reno, Dallas, Phoenix, and Charlotte, and so far I'm liking the videos on Phoenix. Have you found rattlesnakes to be a big issue in the more developed areas? I have 4 dogs, and animals with venom worry me. Thanks. Okay, so thank you for the question, Simplistically Normal, and let's go ahead and talk about rattlesnakes. Before we do, if you're new here, you can subscribe to Living in Arizona and turn on the bell if you like. As you can see, we've got a lot of videos, and I try to produce a lot of videos as frequently as possible. So let's go ahead and talk about these rattlesnakes. Things to know from my experience with rattlesnakes and what you need to know about how many people and what the likelihood of getting bitten is. So you've got this article here: Are rattlesnakes slithering around town? Rattlesnakes are lethal. About 150 people every year are bitten by rattlesnakes in Arizona, and rattlesnakes found in Arizona can be lethal. You're likely to meet up with a rattlesnake on a summer evening after the sun has gone down or during the warm days of the spring, winter, and fall. So you could see rattlesnakes even in winter. We've had about 5 to 10 days of just nothing but sunshine here in January right now. And it would be time in the middle of the daytime you could see a rattlesnake. But commonly, you don't see rattlers until April through October. So now, how do you know if it's a rattlesnake that you're bumping into and not just a regular snake? Well, they get the name rattlesnake because it has a rattle on the back, and it's like beaded, and it shakes like that when they're irritated. But they don't warn you. They could be just sitting in the bush, okay? But before I get everyone all worked up, because that's not what I'm trying to do, the likelihood of you actually passing away from a rattlesnake is slim, okay? So if you look at this, there's about 7,000 to 8,000 people bitten every year in the United States, and maybe about 5 of them die. So the likelihood of even getting bitten by a rattlesnake is extremely low. I will say this: my dad, he was bitten by a rattlesnake, but he's one of the few. A lot of people don't get bitten by rattlesnakes. I've never been bitten by a rattlesnake. But it is interesting. You know, my dad did get bitten by a rattlesnake at this place called Horseshoe Dam when he was in his 20s. He'll tell you the story about it on his ankle. But yeah, so rattlesnakes, I just don't want to scare you guys before I keep going. That's why I wanted to kind of, because I can see some of you might be having a panic attack. I can't see, but I'm sure some of you guys might be panicking a little bit. So let's go back to this. There are many different types of rattlesnakes out there, but the way you can tell a rattlesnake, you can look for a trademark flat triangular shaped head. So it's got that's, I mean, we could compare it to a viper, or we could compare it to a king cobra, but that's basically what you're going to be looking at, right? Is that kind of flat tail head, and they're usually tan and brown, but they can be various different colors. They're not purple like the Arizona Diamondbacks, okay? Diamondback rattlesnake. How they bite: rattlesnakes have 2 retraceable fangs that quickly spring into action when they are attacking their prey, typically prey birds, rodents, rabbits, lizards, and amphibians. Generally, they attack humans only when their territory has been encroached upon. So if they're attacking you, they're not trying to eat you. They're trying to say, hey, get out of here. Okay, so thank you to Trip Savvy for this information. And then we'll go ahead and talk about this one from Rattlesnake Solutions, LLC. If you ever do come across a rattlesnake on your property, they'll show up and they'll get rid of it for you. So, if you got a rattlesnake, you're like, what am I going to do? How do I get rid of this? You might call your neighbor, you might call your husband, or you might do it yourself. Who knows? I mean, some people have been known to chop off the heads of the shovel with the shovel. I don't think that's even legal anymore. I don't think you can kill a rattlesnake, but they used to. So your best bet is to probably call someone to capture it, especially if you find it in your backyard and you're like, just would rather not have it, call these guys. They've got their phone number here, and it's Rattlesnake Solutions. I'm sure you could just type into Google and do a search. Find someone to come pick up the rattlesnake in my backyard, something like that, right? But you can see they got a 24/7 hotline in Phoenix and Tucson. How much do they charge to capture the snakes? Well, let's see here. We believe we are providing a valuable service by using our knowledge and experience to safely relocate rattlesnakes. We realize that to some this should be a free service, but respectfully ask that we fairly compensated for doing a very dangerous job. They have a point, guys. I know you want to get it for free and this and that, but these guys putting their life on the line really when they're dealing with a venomous creature like this. And it's, they might have to pull it out with their hand if it's under the house. They might have to go under the house to get it. You never know. So, I think that comment that they're making is very fair, and be realistic with them. Don't try and cheat them and get the low ball just because, you got a snake and these guys are showing up to save the day here. What repellents do you recommend? They said they don't recommend any. I'm not going to take that as a answer, though. I think there are some things that you can do to limit the amount of snakes there are. They don't work, and just make your yard smell like a urinal. There are better natural ways to keep snakes away. Okay. Well, are they going to provide that information? We don't know, right? So, if you want to remove it yourself, is a noose tool a good idea? First, thank you for being one of the rare people that would rather remove a snake to a safe place, location, than to kill it. Remember, I'm not saying to kill snakes, okay? I'm not saying that. I'm saying people have done that in the old days, in the 80s and 90s. That's the way that they used to do it. They would be like, get this thing out of here, so they would chop its head off with the shovel. I seen it done. That's how I know that they did it. I used to live up in, North Phoenix when I was a kid. Whenever there was a rattlesnake, if we were at a barbecue or whatever, that's what the way to do it was. It was never, rarely, I don't even think it was ever, hey, let's go get a noose around the snake, and because no one ever had the noose to, capture it. So they just had a shovel handy, and they'd be like, get the shovel. I'm just saying, it's the way they used to do things in the old days. You can blame them, yell at them, call animal control, or I don't know. Nowadays it's good to have this noose tool and call the professionals, but these services did not exist. I'm saying that because it's good to have that, okay? So keep rattlesnakes out with a snake fence. So there are some snake fences you could probably Google online and look at this stuff. Property inspections. A rattlesnake expert trained to track down snakes in the wild will visit your property and find exactly what the problem is. If snakes are found, they will be relocated. There are some things that you could have around your house, like if you're one of those people who's a hoarder, if you hoard things and you tuck them away in the back of your house and in your yard and stuff, and cobwebs start building up, that's usually becoming a more fertile environment for snakes. So to keep the snakes away and the critters like mouses, pack rats, black widows, scorpions, try to clean out that area, even in your garage. You don't want to just pile things up and let the cobwebs and everything build up. That's when you're starting to create the infestation climate for snakes like this. I don't know if that's necessarily what they're saying, but remember, they're in the business of getting you to come out, getting people to come out there and actually, getting you to, they want to remove the snake. So if people aren't calling them to remove the snake, then they're not in business. Not saying that they shouldn't be in business, because they should. But here's a story from Fox 10 News. Beware of rattlesnakes. Rattlesnake season begins. They're saying rattlesnake season is here in Arizona. This is September of 2018. Usually in September, more people call to report snake bites. In fact, a medical toxicologist said she has already seen 3 patients bitten by snake over the Labor Day weekend. So they're saying September tends to be a common time for snakes. When are you going to bump into snakes? Probably when you're out in the desert. Like, you start walking around in the desert, you're not always going to see a snake, but they're out there. They're out there. When you're walking around the desert, even if you're hiking Camelback Mountain or whatever, but you'll notice there's still a lot of people every single day who will go up Camelback Mountain, but that's where the snakes are. That's where the wild things are. And then you have snakes that you can find around here. Just general snakes. You obviously have the venomous snakes, the western diamondback rattlesnake. That's the most common one. This is commonly encountered rattlesnake in the valley and can be found anywhere where neighborhoods get close to native desert habitat. They are large, aggressive, and venomous, so keep your distance and let it move on, or call safe removal. So safe removal is the one that keeps coming back up. So call someone, have them come out, and you just typing into Google the information, or you can remember Rattlesnake Solutions. These guys right here, they have a hotline. Save it in your phone, 480-237-9975. They're called Rattlesnake Solutions. If you're moving here and you're really worried about this and you want to have them on speed dial ready to go, hey Siri, call Rattlesnake Solutions. All right. So you have a Sonoran Sidewinder, venomous. Sidewinders are small rattlesnakes that live in sandy desert areas. Most are 2 feet long and move with a distinctive sidewinding motion. Speckled rattlesnake, also venomous. Black-tailed rattlesnake. The black-tailed rattlesnake lives in mountainous areas and surrounding foothills. You can see they have a little bit different coloration. This one's more green. This one's more like a brownish color. This is the most common one, the western diamondback. Then they have the Mojave. This one you can really tell the rattler on it. This is the one that always kind of got my attention, the Mojave. The Mojave rattlesnake lives in open desert areas and highly dangerous. Unlike the other rattlesnakes in Arizona, the Mojave carries a powerful neurotoxin. I don't remember what it was about the Mojave, but it could have been that we always knew that the Mojave was the one that had the most powerful venom, I think it was what it was. But when I was a kid, we knew the Mojave and the Diamondback. Those were the ones. And you got the tiger, rattlesnake, lives in rocky climates. Then you have the Sonoran coral snake, which we talked about. This can be confused with, I think it's a king snake or a bull snake. Then you have Sonoran gopher snake. These are harmless. You could almost confuse that with a rattlesnake, but it's not a rattlesnake and it's not venomous. Okay, so first thing you want to look for is, does it have a rattler? If it has a rattler and also a triangle head, like a heart-shaped head, that's the venomous ones, okay? You also have a desert night snake, California king snake. Then you have other harmless snakes, the glossy snake. I've seen these. I've seen almost all of these in my backyard. And then you have Sonoran whip snake, coach whip, shovel nose snake, regal ring neck snake, long nose snake, patch nose snake, Sonoran ground snake, blackhead snake. You see there's so many different varieties of snakes, but most of these are harmless. This one's, look at that one's got amazing coloration, doesn't it? You see the ring right there, red right there. I mean, there's some pretty nice looking snakes, especially the ones that are, like these colors. All right, so like this one, but stay away from the coral snake, man. The Sonoran coral snake is a small, secretive snake that is very rarely seen, though it lives entirely of the desert surrounding the Phoenix area. It mostly stays underground. You'll be walking around the desert and you'll see these little holes in the ground. That's typically where snakes are. Those are rodent holes, but snakes go in there and they take up those rodent holes. They'll live in those holes. When I was a kid, I was building a little rock fort in the desert because I used to live in an area where there was desert in the backyard, like your house, and then you have desert. And I was packing away some grass under the rocks, and all of a sudden I heard this, and it was a little baby rattlesnake. And I ran, and my brother stayed out there because he was only 3, I was 5. And I ran, and I was like, snake, 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 and he didn't know. Like, he didn't even, I barely even remember the stories. Some of you are like, oh, why didn't you tell your brother? Why didn't you get your brother? I was like, I needed to get my mom. That's why I got my mom, right? But she was like, we were scared to play in that same area when there was the little baby snakes. But then she found out that the little babies are more venomous, I think, than the adults, is what we were hearing. I also got stung by a scorpion when I was a kid. I can talk about all that, but I've already kind of made these kind of videos, but this is strictly dedicated to the snakes. Like I said, try not to worry too much, but in 2018, 2 people did die from rattlesnake bites. This person died in South Dakota, this person in Oklahoma. So it's not just Arizona that has these snakes. The big thing is, if you're ever bitten by a snake or around someone who's bitten by a snake, say, hey, we need to get you to the hospital because we need to get you an anti-venom. Okay, but if you just look at some of these stories, Osage County, Oklahoma, Lester was driving down the road. He spotted the snake. He tried to move it safely, but ended up being bit on both hands. Lester collapsed shortly after and was pronounced dead. Wow. This guy was a 57-year-old male. Do not try to touch these things, man. That's why even trying to catch them or kill them with a shovel is not a good idea, because you can get, you can see. This guy was looking for a ball in tall grass when he was bitten on the ankle. He was rushed to the clubhouse in a cart where another employee performed CPR until an ambulance arrived, but was pronounced dead at Spearfish Hospital. I'm not trying to downplay rattlesnakes, but I'm also not trying to scare you too much, okay? This person, Daniel Hose, was bitten on the ankle while hiking in Golden, Colorado. So you can see South Dakota, Colorado. These are out west mostly, I think, but none of them are in Arizona, so that's good. Grooms was the Santee National Wildlife Refuge in South Carolina when a rattlesnake bit his leg. He collapsed and died within 15 minutes. Wow. 15 minutes? Wow, this person was bitten a religious service at Pentecostal Church in Jason, Kentucky. He refused treatment and died in his brother's home. Okay, so sad, man, just crazy, like wild. Here's one, a black mamba. So this one, presumably a black mamba, found dead in her home in New York. She illegally kept venomous snakes in her home, and one was a black mamba. Okay, that was in New York. Anyways, guys, sorry for this video if it scared you. It's not my intent to scare you. There are snakes out there. If you bump into them, just walk away. Don't taunt them. Don't throw rocks at them. Don't yell at them. Don't irritate them, because once they get aggressive, that's when they start trying to defend themselves. See you guys next time.